Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. We're going to jump in today with a question that sort of has been coming up a lot, but came out specifically of yesterday's soulmate snapshot reading. We were looking at why there were such super high levels of swirling emotion lately. And of course, one of the reasons is something that's actually been true for several weeks now. It's been true for a little while. Their energy is practically like right on top of you. You are so much in the same places that it's just kind of changed everything around considerably. And when they go through something significant, then all of a sudden it seems like you go through something significant, and it hits you a little bit differently. So you kind of have to learn how to shield from that, I guess. And it's difficult to say shield because this is a person you're so closely bonded with that when things happen with them, you really feel it. So, we're going to look into today what to do about that. So, what you need to know about it, what the energy is actually looking like, and really what you can be doing about it. It's going to be a general reading, as always. And so, as I always say, it's not going to resonate with everybody, and it really shouldn't resonate with everybody. This is going to be a general reading for this collective. So, if you find that it does resonate, absolutely consider joining us and subscribing, checking out some of the other messages. All right, so we're going to start out as always with that energetic backdrop. And we're looking for kind of the energy around. Really, it's this time frame. Time is kind of a funny thing when it comes to tarot, but sometimes I'll ask, because I have to ask in these earthly sort of ways. Sometimes I'll ask what's happening across the month of July. Sometimes I'll ask what's happening across this full moon. Today, it's more of what's hitting us today. So yeah, this is the Two of Cups in reverse. There's this feeling of not having that connection. It's a connection that hasn't changed all that much in the last few days, but here recently, maybe it has changed just in the last few days because it's one that maybe hasn't been working out. It hasn't been connecting. You've been out of communication, and you may still be out of communication, but something has changed. It's part of what caused us to need to do that swirling emotion reading yesterday. Just what is all of that? And that was a good reading. This was the question that we were going to ask in the extended was, okay, so what do I need to know, and what do I do about the fact that this energy is so close? We've been having to explore this, but the answer has been evolving because the situation has been evolving. So at this point, we've got the Two of Cups in the energy of today, just kind of showing that there's not a strong, easy partnership happening. It's not the energy of easy partnership. Maybe that's the best way to describe what's happening there. And I dropped one face down, so we won't use that. Sometimes I drop them face up and we end up using them. It's just one more way for a card to fly out of the deck. So we've got the High Priestess in reverse and the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Both of these are cards that we've seen recently with this sort of feeling, and I'll explain. So in yesterday's reading, we had the Knight of Pentacles come out. I think it was yesterday. Gosh, they're all running together for me. It might have been the day before, but there was a feeling of this Knight of Pentacles where it's movement that's not occurring, and it's like there's a lot of resistance around it. It's a lot of resistance around moving forward in a straight line. The lessons are very difficult to pick up, just a lot of resistance to the overall process and a lack of connection to that higher self. So even if there has been a growing, this is something that can wax and wane. So even if this connection to the higher self has been growing, right now it's not feeling as strong, and that's part of what's impacting us in this energy of not really being able to connect, not being able to make a good connection. What else? Let's see. We've got the Temperance card in reverse. Temperance in reverse is about not being able to go with the flow in this case. So sometimes it's about that big overall balance, and I guess it really still is in a way. It's about not being able to allow things to flow. So there's again this comfortable or uncomfortable sense of, I don't like what's happening, I'm not happy with it, but I can't seem to find any peace. This is your person's energy. We've got a Seven of Swords in the upright. Wow, they're in a tough place today. And if this is energy that's happening for them, then it's also going to be impacting you. So you may feel a little edge to your energy, even if your day is otherwise going pretty well. Them having a rough energy day does not destroy your day necessarily, but it certainly could impact you. Certainly could be something that you notice and you're just kind of like, what is this? Let's see. Okay, we had a few cards came out on that one. So we have the Five of Wands and the Ace of Swords, both in the upright. Then we have the Three of Pentacles in reverse and the Ten of Swords in the upright. There's a lot of conflict happening in your person. So a couple days ago, maybe it was yesterday, again, those two readings in particular seem to flow together for me, I think. But there's this feeling of your person that not facing a truth. They weren't facing up to a truth. They needed to get closer to something. They needed to understand something a little bit more clearly. There was a new perspective available for them, but they had to actually look at the truth. So there's a lot of struggle around this, a lot of resistance around the concept of even looking at that truth. But it seems like they've gotten a glimpse, or they've chosen to take a glimpse, and it has caused them to bounce back, or not bounce back in a positive way, but it's caused a significant impact, the significant energetic impact. All of this together almost feels like a tower for me. It's almost a miniature tower, but it's causing them some pain. They are reliving some pain that they thought they had already gotten past. This Three of Pentacles is telling us that they really haven't gotten past it yet, but it's because they are not allowing that to happen within themselves. And that's part of what this truth is. So the truth that's coming out for them has multiple facets, and it's going to look a little different for different people. However, the fact that they're going to feel like they are struggling against a current hopelessly, and that they're already so far behind. And the thing is, it's like they're going to discover they're struggling in the wrong direction, but discovering that is not necessarily not enough to stop them. Okay, so we have the Ten of Chalices and the Four of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, the Four of Pentacles in reverse is giving up. It's not letting go of something in this, bold and noble way. It's like giving up. This is saying, all right, you know what? I'm going to let this go. I'm going to let myself go over the side of the waterfall. It's that kind of, I'm just giving up. And this Ten of Chalices is them saying, I have no idea. I now realize that I am basically trapped between not being able to get what I want and not being able to truly identify what I want, such that when I run into something that is too good to be true, I have no idea how to conduct myself. And so this is basically where your person has found themselves, and they have this reverberating through their energy. So it may not be so much conscious thought, but your proximity of your energy creates this phenomenon in them. So we asked yesterday why there were these huge levels of swirling emotion, and it came down to something very similar to this. Your person is kind of going through it right now, and so there's no choice for you but to also be experiencing that. And so again, we're seeing in the energy, it's still that swirling, difficult sort of emotion. So the question that we were asking is, what do you need to know so that you can cope with this? What should you be doing? So we're going to ask those questions in that order. What do you need to know so that you can cope with it? And what do you need to be doing? Okay, so let's see here. And the what do you need to be doing can move almost into what are the lessons you want to focus on. Oftentimes that's the question we ask when we get over here. But right now it's the question that we're going to ask first is just, what do you need to know about this? Because it's creating a dynamic that is definitely uncomfortable for both of you. But I don't get the sense that they are as consciously aware of this as I'm able to say it. They're not able to say it quite like that. This is practically like a mini messages reading for you. So, we have Temperance coming out sideways. They're trying to find balance, and they're trying to figure out how to go with the flow. Instead of it being going with the flow, allowing themselves to simply give up. Going with the flow can also be engaging what's happening around you, but doing so in a productive way and doing so in a way that is not made of resistance, which is what they're currently doing. They don't know how to even let go of that sense of resistance right now. So what you're seeing over here is not, it's not something that they're creating intentionally. It's something that they don't understand how to, your patience is really what's going to be needed here, because you're far more conscious of this situation than they are. Okay, let's see here. So we've got a card that did fall out. It fell on the floor, and like I said, it's just another place for me to drop a card, apparently. If you guys saw towards the end of last month, I did a thank you reading that had, so the thank you readings, I do them every month, and they start out with here's the reading, and then I pick all the cards up and I shuffle, and I do the extended right there on the same video. So it's all part of the same thing. So this time I went ahead and I edited out the part where I'm shuffling and getting everything ready to do the extended. And instead I did a tour. And so if you'll notice, as you pan over to the place where I do the readings, you'll now see here is the floor where I drop all of the cards. And you'll also see there's no chair there. It's a place where I'm standing, delivering these readings. That's the way that I prefer to do it. So this is the card that fell out. We have the Four of Wands in reverse. It's about, it's like getting their sea legs. This is a situation that is not going to, it doesn't resolve so much as they get used to it and then it calms down for you. Whether or not you guys are able to be in 3D communication, this phenomenon is going to be occurring. So you may be in perfectly good 3D communication and not understand why the energy is completely nuts still. Like, what is driving that? It's this, they are going through it right now. We saw that yesterday, but with this lack of balance and having to face the truth on some things, this is a person who just wants to give up and hide. But that's not what they're doing here. This Page of Swords in the upright tells me they are not necessarily just running and hiding. This is getting a different, one of the reasons this feels so different is that it's these same emotions, but they're responding to them ever so slightly differently. Instead of just turning tail and running, we see the desire to do that, but not necessarily the actuality. Energetically, they're not running. They are right there. And one of the things that is happening is a transformation while your energies are sitting so close to one another. They are getting a view of both what it is that they most want and need in this life, as well as what they most fear, all in the same place. And it has to do with this 10 of chalices over here. It's the situation of something being too good to be true, but how dare they consider themselves to be good enough for something that's too good to be true when they've got these things in their background, these skeletons in their closet, this devil energy that still picks at them and pulls at them and makes it difficult for them to move forward. How dare they think they'd be good enough to move forward? Well, this is a time of transformation for them to start to really come face to face with these thoughts and have to think through how silly that sounds. What do you mean, how dare you be eligible for like, just do it. It's you. Sometimes good things happen. But the problem is, and you might even find yourself doing some degree of this, people don't necessarily just assume they're good enough for the things that are coming to them. And that's one of the reasons that we do see this King of Chalices energy. And that's going to be that for these. But the King of Chalices energy, we see it a lot. We've seen it a lot in the last couple of readings. But this is an energy of... it's being able to give love, but only being able to do so in a limited sort of way. And so it's not that this person lacks integrity. They do mean what they say, but they mean it, and then all of a sudden the game changes at a certain point, and that point varies. It's very much based upon when they start to feel flooded and they feel like the love is moving too fast. And they do feel like that. They feel like the love is moving too fast. I think, okay, we're going to, I already know we're going to expand on this when we get into the extended. And I think we're just going to do like an extended that talks a little bit more about what we're seeing here. So it's like more of what we saw in yesterday's soulmate snapshot, but it's going to just get in a little bit deeper, get some new insights, and see what other messages want to come out from them. And one of the fun things is it's a more targeted messages because not all of you are gonna. It's more targeted messages because not all of you are going to click on it. Let me be clear. Okay, so the universe knows who's going to be there and tailors the messages accordingly. So if this is resonating for you here and you say, okay, I'm probably not going to click into that, that's most people. And so it's the ones who decide that they're going to click into it. Those are the ones whose energy comes into the extended. So it's an interesting thing. Of course, I can't know it from where I'm standing, but that's not something that I need to know. My job is to just kind of see the messages that come out. And we're going to go more deeply into messages really from your person's perspective when we get into the extended. That's what we'll do. But going back to this and learning a little bit more about what you need to know about this energy being right on top of you, just to understand what they're going through. That's kind of what you're getting the backdrop for that extended now, which of course makes sense. So they remember earlier when I said that they felt like they were behind on something, like they've run behind. They should have been farther along in figuring this out. It's part of what actually slows them down with you, because they feel almost guilty for, I shouldn't have made this mistake in the first place. I should have. There's a lot of should have sort of energy in here. Interesting. Oh, this is part of the read. Nope, nope, no. All right, I'm just going to trust it to come back up. Sometimes it comes out and it's got that feel to it, and even though it's turned over, used to have that happen a lot. Not so much lately. All right. And sometimes it's confusing. And the thing is, this could be it, and I would never know. All right, so the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands in reverse. This is a sense that things are very much still roiling and happening for your person. So they may be turning a corner. They may be making a change, but they're going to do that multiple times. They're still in the thick of it. They're still in the thick of battle, trying to figure out, like, what do I even do here? There's an outrageous amount of attraction for you, attraction between you. They can feel, this is threatening to them, they can feel your attraction to them. And it still makes them want to give up, makes them want to run away, makes them want to resist, despite the fact that they feel every bit as much of an attraction to you. They just need to be in control of it. That's a big part of it. They need to be in control of it, but it's difficult to control this much love. This is the Ace of Chalices, and it really just talks about how much love is there. And it's like they don't want you to know. They want to have some control over that, and they don't want to feel as attracted to you as they do, because that makes them feel out of control. And then the part where you feel the attraction to them definitely makes them feel out of control and like they don't know what to do about it. They feel like they're being laid bare in some way by somebody that they really value, and who helps to bring them along. Okay, so I'm going to explain this energy really quickly because it's it's tied in with what we've already said and what we've said in previous readings, but they view you in a way. So this Queen of Pentacles, it's how they view you, but it's not the self-worth piece. So we know that they view you as having more self-worth than you probably think you have. But what they're viewing you as here is really being nurturing and so much what they truly need in this Ten of Pentacles sort of household, this Ten of Pentacles situation that they feel that they could potentially have with you. You give them the backbone, the strength to stand up and actually endure their daily life. It's your energy that does this, but the fact that you're so close to one another now means that you can use each other as support during the day. But it's difficult when what you need support about is each other. And that's kind of this strange dynamic that causes you to be taking from and giving to at the same time. So yes, in the extended, we are definitely going to get in and check to see what kind of messages are coming from them. What do they wish they could tell you, but they obviously don't want to actually disclose, because there's a lot of them wishing they could tell you and wanting to confide in you because you're the one that takes this pain away. And yet you're also someplace that they have gotten some of that pain because they did the thing again where they run away and they hide and they create a bunch of pain. And when they create pain for you, it also kind of mirrors back to them because they know they've done it. There's a sense of them knowing that they've done it, being able to feel that, especially because they're so much on top of your energy. So before we go to the extended, let's take a look at what it is that you need to do to cope with this. Like, what practically can you do about it? Healing. Okay. Taking a step back, resting and rejuvenation, healing, allowing your healing to deepen. There's healing that has already started to happen here with you. This collective, the reason that we have this third column here, this third question, the way that we always do, and it's always some form of what can you do? What should your focus be? Because we've already looked at what's happening in the energy and what we need to know about the situation. But then, depending on what the question is, what do you even do? Based on everything that you just saw come out, what do you even do? And this is saying it's going to be all about the healing. It's going to be all about the rejuvenation of your energy. There is something waiting for you. Currently, you do not have the activation energy to get to. You need to allow that to build within yourself. And, here's part of what's deadening it. So you've got a Four of Chalices. This is an Ace of Wands in reverse, and it's partially being deadened by this Four of Chalices. Four of Chalices is a feeling of disappointment, and the feeling of disappointment is so pervasive for you that it's creating an issue and just kind of going against your happiness, you know. And yeah, going against your happiness indeed. So we've got the Sun in reverse. This is, sometimes it's a missed opportunity. Sometimes it's you got stood up for a date or something. But in this case, it's actually just going in the opposite direction of your happiness. But it's not necessarily something that you realize that you're doing. Both of you seem to be making that same sort of mistake where you're pushing and pushing and you discover that in some cases it's not the right direction. So in your person's case, it might be, gosh, they're really trying to go the wrong way. In your case, it might be you need to, just kind of nuance change, make it a little bit of an adjustment by a few degrees. There is a sense that you've been told in this this full moon energy to ensure that you are removing some things from your life fairly completely that need to be removed. But the jury is out on some of these things. You're going to get to some things and say, all right, it's definite. This is clearly inappropriate for me. It's not going to go on in my life. I'm going to go ahead, cut this relationship out, this practice, this thinking pattern, whatever it is. But then there are going to be others that are less obvious. This opportunity that arises with this energy, your person's energy is basically opening old wounds back up for both of you. That's part of why it feels so tumultuous. That's part of why it feels so painful. Those of you who have been experiencing the crying and just the sadness, that's a lot of just kind of pulling this back open. It is excruciating. But in so doing, it's a great opportunity for you to look to see what fits in your life and what doesn't, because this sort of energy works for that. You're going to discover that some things are still pretty much in that gray area. This is an opportunity for you to go back and look for some wisdom that hasn't been gained yet. Just something that, maybe you even have it, but for whatever reason, it hasn't resonated for you just yet. So go back and read some old journal entries where you had epiphanies that maybe you did not recognize were even greater than they were. So this is not necessarily a matter of going back into old relationships and old thinking. The Six of Chalices is warning you against getting lost in nostalgia, because this one is really kind of a problem-solving sort of vibe. It's got that Eight of Wands, but it's forward-moving energy, not necessarily the communication form of the Eight of Wands that we saw in like yesterday's reading. So this is full steam ahead in your own healing, but it's not necessarily focusing on your person because it feels like not so much you want to leave them behind or that you're trying to close them out, but you don't need to. With them being this close to you, on top of you, everything you do to set yourself into a better place is going to automatically set them into a better place. But it's challenging because you are so connected, and part of the, like I was saying, you guys both want to talk to each other, you want to confide in each other. For them, that's really difficult because vulnerability is kind of one of their weak spots. But they every you both really want to connect, but the problem is you're wanting to connect about each other, and that makes it impossible. We've got this 10 of wands here that is coming out talking a little bit about the things that, so the challenges that I was just talking about, where you're so bonded that you can't, when the things that are upsetting you, you kind of can't talk to each other about because it is you. Um, there are going to be some pieces of that that you can tease out and be able to talk to somebody else, be able to send me a note, be able to do what you need to do to get it off your chest, be able to do what has to happen, talk to somebody that isn't going to use the information against you. It could be somebody that, a therapist, it could be, there are opportunities here for you to release some of the pressure. It doesn't have to come in the form of sharing a story with somebody. That's just an example, but it's one that I think is going to fit for a lot of you. Um, it's kind of amazing. Sometimes even just journaling it, if you have been somebody who's been journaling it, sometimes just journaling it will be incredibly helpful. Then we've got the Knight of Wands here. Knight of Wands in reverse. This is the second time. So this one has come out feeling a little bit like not just inconsistent behavior, but really how you behave around inconsistent behavior is changing or has changed. So if your person does come back, and I think that there are a lot of them where the communication is going to go beyond that 5D communication, where it's going to move more into the 3D. Um, and I've been feeling like that for the last couple of days, but this is really about how do you handle it. And so it said up here, you're going to need patience. We heard in a previous reading that you want to use gentleness to interact with your person when they come back, because you know they're coming back not fully healed. And they're trying to steer out of the skid right now and maybe not reach out to you, but some of them are going to. And as I've mentioned, I am constantly hearing from people who are hearing back from their person, but they're saying then, okay, but it's as you said. They are not yet ready. They have not yet gotten through their portion of the healing. So I'm dealing with someone who is very much still broken. What do I do? You know, and I think maybe that's something that we need to look into, because you're healing, and that's part of what these cards are telling you to do. It's part of what you have been doing. You're not the same person anymore. So as this communication comes to you, or even as this energy is approaching you, you have a very new perspective, different perspective. In this deck, there's a 79th card. So the tarot traditionally is 78 cards. This one has a 79th card, and it's very much a matter of perspective. It's a matter of, like with the baby elephant and the adult elephant, there's that sense of I've been where you are, where the adult has been where the baby is, but the baby's not been where the adult is. And so there's a little bit difference in perspective just because you are not the same person that you were when you last interacted, even if it's only been a relatively short amount of time. Um, Now we definitely need to look into that. And I think that's something that we'll do in tomorrow's reading, because our extended for today is already taken. So we're going to look tomorrow at what you do as this communication comes to you, as this energy washes over you, because this is going to continue. This is a wave that hasn't broken yet. What do you do because you're not the same person anymore? What does that mean for you? But honestly, the answer to today's question that's coming out, that, you know, their energy is pretty much right on top of you energetically. In some cases, it feels like you're right in front of each other. You're right there. You're right there. What do you do? And the answer is focus on your healing, because it's going to help solve them, which we now know makes sense, because the reason that their energy feels like this is because they're working through something. So they kind of need the support. And it's like you guys need to be able to work side by side with your energy side by side now, despite the fact that it is so uncomfortable to do so. But like I promised, we're going to go into the extended for those of you who want to put their energy into that, and we will look at the emotions and the communication, the messages that they would want to give you, but they are far too scared to give you or are not able to articulate. Like what we saw over here, I'm able to articulate it, but I don't think they're seeing it consciously. So let's see what else. Kind of a combination of these things. We'll go in a little bit deeper, get some additional insights, and really understand what those messages to you would be. So I'll see you in that extended if you want to go there. The link is down below. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow where we take a look at communication that's coming or energy that's washing over you, but now you're not the same person.